Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, viewers. I'm Matthias Ofiku, news editor of the Namibian Sun newspaper. Welcome to another edition of the Evening Review Show. Before we get into the business of tonight, let's first have a look at tomorrow's headlines. Well, we're joined in the studio tonight by Mr. Augetto. Graig.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. He's the organizer of the Namibia Media Professionals Union. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here.
No, very well. You're welcome. You're most welcome. Mr. Graig.
Yes.
The Namibia Media Professionals Union. We've been hearing about this.
Yes.
NAMPU, in short.
Yes.
We've been hearing about this for the last 2-3 years. What is the status of the union?
Well, we've made quite a bit of progress in the months that we've been in existence. I think 2-3 years. You know, in Namibia there has been talk about a media union or a journalist union for many years, but it never really materialized. It didn't go much further than talk. But last year we were able to organize and hold a founding convention, and we have put in place a board. We have got a Secretary General, a Deputy Secretary General in a few places, and we have discussed and adopted a constitution which we have submitted to the Ministry of Labour to get registered and our accreditation. We thought that it would be automatic, but it's not. So we are going through a rigorous process that the ministry insists upon, making sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed to fulfill their requirements in terms of getting us registered. And at the pace that they work, Matthias, I don't think it'll happen. It won't be a Christmas present. I doubt it. Even though we do everything in our power. Yeah.
So this union that's mooted, of course, you've mentioned that there was a founding convention.
Yes.
And I'm sure in the background the work is underway.
Yes.
But what changes as media professionals, what should they expect from this union?
Firstly, media professionals are also people. And this union will be instrumental in ensuring that we are treated as people. Be that from in the workplace from our employers, or whether it be from people we interact with, sources, officials in government. We, NAMPU, will bring dignity back to our profession. As much as media professionals in Namibia do great work in bringing dignity to our inhabitants, to our fellow Namibians, the voice that would speak up for our own dignity has been lacking.
So what are some of those factors that are hampering the dignity of journalists from being attained?
Well, for instance, let's start with the most basic thing, income, pay. You know that there isn't national pay scale when it comes to journalism or any kind of media work. You can work at one place and maybe earn a decent salary, even have certain surety that you'll receive your salary at the end of the month. You can work at another place where you might earn peanuts, or one common practice is that end of the month comes and there's just no money in your account. And many of these news management organizations or media houses have the audacity to inform you after the fact. You know, oh, we didn't pay you this month, but just wait. So, but also just in terms of the nature of the work, it can be very stressful. and there can be serious consequences for your mental health. And really, there is no protection, no concern at all displayed anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, during COVID and the pandemic, we were conveniently classified as frontline, but there was no consideration for us being on the front line. When it was necessary, we were all subjected as guinea pigs to be among the first to be injected and to take our immunizers, way ahead of everybody else. But that's just considered part of the job. So there are many fronts that we will have to fight on, and a lot to be done to protect our media practitioners in this country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, I understand this coming weekend there's a strategic workshop going on, strategic union building workshop.
Yes. We've already made contact with the International Federation of Journalists, and they've been very supportive. They are sending their Secretary General, Mr. Let me just get his name here, Louis Tomasi, is coming in person to help us out, and we are organizing or have organized this workshop, which will take place on Friday and Saturday. So he'll be here to share with us the value of his experience and the insight and the tricks of the trade, which really we need. Even if you look at unionism in Namibia at the moment, separately from the fact that in our space, in media, there's no such thing. But just in general, it's not very strong. And it's not achieving what our society would expect unions to achieve for Namibian workers in general. So there's a lot to be done. Yeah.
Because the reason why I brought it up is because you might have seen over the years that unions in other sectors have been sort of waning over the years. They've not had the dominant effect they've had in the sectors in which they operate. But how different will you guys be to ensure that there is a difference?
Well, I think one telling factor is the way that our society is set up at the moment. I don't think that there'll be much opportunity to move from our union into government or into any political party's structure. Those opportunities exist for most unions in Namibia, and some would say that unions collaborating or partnering with political parties has not served our workers the best in the past. I'm not saying that that model is faulty in and of itself, but I think in our case, there's little risk of that kind of thing. So if there's no political career aspiration that you could fulfill by serving our union, then the main reason, the overriding reason why you would participate or serve is because of the passion for the cause. You know, it's really not something that's ever going to make you rich, even if we achieve everything we want to achieve. I think. And the cause is something to be passionate about because it's linked to the well-being of our society in general. It is acknowledged that the media is the conduit which informs the nation. And when the people who are doing that work are not well, the information, the whole system will not work well. Yeah.
Okay. I see some of the topics that will be covered during the workshop include the issues dealing with the trade union reforms.
Yes.
Something we just spoke about.
Yeah.
The digital organizing and recruitment campaigns of the unions. What does that entail?
Yeah, we are even busy with approaching recruitment from various aspects. Campaigns are necessary, but you get different kinds of campaigns. One aspect of the Namibian media community, specifically if we're looking at journalists, and it's something that I think is quite unique to Namibia because I don't know that it's a common practice elsewhere in the world, is that we talk to each other, we share information, we know that we have to work together in order to get the stories out there
Yeah.
a lot of the time, because the obstacles and the resistance towards spreading information and truly empowering our citizens is manifold and comes from various directions. Sometimes the only way to get the story out there is to work together. So in that sense, it's a bit easier to get the message across. But look, for instance, at graphic designers within the media industry. Here's a occupation which demands a lot, and if you speak to any graphic designer, the hours that they work, the pressures that they're under, but where are they represented? Who's protecting them? And under our union, we will be able to do that, but we have to let them know that there's something out there for them. You know, there is a union for them, and so we need to have recruitment drives. We need to have make real efforts to inform people. I mean, even in terms of young people who are studying journalism or other media careers, you know, as soon as they graduate, they are so vulnerable, and there are so many institutions who are eager to pounce on them and to use them and misuse them and abuse them within our industry. It really is a dog-eat-dog world, and it might sound far-fetched for people who have not experienced the industry, but really the union is long overdue and much needed, and we need to get that message across.
Yeah. I know you mentioned earlier on that the registration process is still ongoing.
Yes.
So, but in terms of subscription, how is the interest so far from the colleagues in the industry?
We've got genuine interest, good levels of interest. You know, our database is continuing, but for instance, as you mentioned, the registration process is not complete, which means that we cannot accept any membership fees until we are registered.
Yes.
So in the meantime, all we can get is expressions of interest, and we are collecting information, contact details, and so forth. And we are constantly keeping our members informed, not only through social media, but through email and through all sorts of different channels, or let me say prospective members, because not being registered yet, it makes it difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Graig, I'd just like you to hold your thoughts as we just go on a small ad break, and we come back for the last segment of the show.
Sure.
Thank you. Well, let me welcome our viewers back from this short ad break. Mr. Graig,
Yes, sir.
we're back again.
Thank you.
The last segment, I'd be doing a disservice to our viewers if we don't touch on the issue of objectivity, independence, impartiality, and the likes, the fake news, the likes. I'm surprised that it's not part of one of the items that will be discussed at the workshop, or is it still too premature to bring that on?
No, I don't think it's ever premature. Fake news is a real concern. In fact, in this age of information, credibility is key, and I think that forward-looking media organizations will all have to prioritize credibility sooner or later, because you know, there's so much information out there, so many sources telling you so many things. Who can you believe? Who can you trust? That will be the defining factor. But in terms of our approach as a union, even within our constitution, and just our general approach, is that we need to help improve the quality of the work we deliver. And the best way to do that is through training and through exposure, benchmarking. And that's why these connections are so important, like this relationship that we are building with IFJ. There are many international organizations who are willing and able to help improve the practitioners, their skills, their experience, who work in Namibia. And getting those opportunities to the people who need them will be part of the crucial role that we will play. Now in Namibia, we do have organizations that help. You know, there is a media ombudsman. So if you are affected by some fake news, there's a route to follow. But also, one of our requirements is that our members would have to be in good standing. So, you know, you can complain about individuals or institutions that you feel aren't doing a good job to existing institutions and also to us. And we will take it up seriously, because we have to protect our profession, not only for in the interest of the practitioners, but also in the interest of the people we serve, which ultimately is the readership. Yeah.
But in terms of an in-house perspective, what do you think are some of the avenues that the union could undertake or follow to ensure that your members at least are in good standing as far as credibility is concerned?
I think that the emphasis has to be on exposure and training. Our members need to be informed what is best practice. What is the benchmark? What is the world doing? What is the world accepting? And our members need to have the skills and the mindset to apply those. And hopefully their organizations can also help them with the equipment to produce. But you know, journalism is a practical occupation. So it's about what you do in the specific situation you find yourself in. And sometimes just having access to people who have experience, just asking the question amongst those who've been there before, that can give you an insight as to how to deal with the situation you find yourself in now, which questions to ask, and how to double check, what to double check. There are so many resources that can be used once you know that they exist. You know, there's data journalism and there's internet journalism, and these tools can supplement the basics that you apply every day, which is, you know, interviewing people, going to the source, finding a different source. There's no monopoly on information. So there's always another way to find the truth. And it just requires you to be equipped with the skills and the mindset to apply those different ways and to go for the truth. And once you have the truth, to put it fairly. Because we are still only human beings and we are subjective, but at the end of the day, the product, the story that you write needs to be objective. And everybody who's involved must be able to read that story and agree that, yes, that is what happened. It can be done.
I see one of the agenda points is also digital organizing.
Yes.
Of course, we move towards digitalization.
Yes.
And it seems to be a very fertile ground for things such as fake news.
Very fertile ground for fake news. And, you know, even if you look at the concept of Wikipedia, which is built on anybody can put a definition on there or a contribution, and then it gets reviewed eventually, and then the ones that pan out they kept, and the ones that are obviously not right, they get taken away. But what I'm saying is the world has changed. Everybody has a right to speak, and not everybody knows what they're talking about. So those of us, or we who are at the receiving end of this information avalanche, we need to be able to discern what to believe, what not to believe, what to act upon, and what to wait for to see how it pans out. And that's an important role that media plays, and that media practitioners have to take responsibility and own. Really, we are gatekeepers. We are supposed to help the public understand that, yes, this information you can believe, and this other information you maybe need to double check for yourself. Do your own research is a part of the trend of the day. But we need to help people to do their own research, and we need to educate people. The world is moving so fast, and in many ways, Namibia, we are still rooted in the past. And media is one of those things that can help people bridge that gap and come into the future.
But how does the media conduct that bridging play that bridging role if they themselves are accused of not moving with times fast enough?
It's not easy, but collectively it can be done. You know, if we work together, it can be done. And there are many avenues to explore. There are many ways to approach the problem. Often you need collaboration to be able to understand a different approach before you can implement it. You know, often our minds get set in routine. We can only see the problem one way. But if we speak to somebody else, a different source, then we can see a different solution and apply it. And that's where innovation comes in. It's the order of the day. But in terms of our space, in terms of media and media practitioners, the union is essential to help individuals and even organizations within the space to catch up, to implement the solutions faster. We are going to be and are already becoming a central node which will bring together so many of the role players and the stakeholders that we will accelerate our ability to roll with the changes. And we will accentuate our opportunities to get out front, because in many aspects, Namibia is already ahead of the curve. And one of the things we need to do is to realize that and appreciate it and build on it. Yeah. We are not a lost cause, although a lot of time has been wasted. But we are taking steps, and I think this union is an important step. And I would imagine that the powers that be recognize that and assist us rather than hamper us. You know, I really, it's hard to understand how it can take so much time to register a union that is so bona fide. But that is the system, and we are bound by the system. But I can tell you this, it won't stop us. We are moving forward regardless. And even this workshop of this weekend is an indication of how we are moving forward regardless.
So just lastly, the issue of collective agreements to perhaps improve the working conditions of journalists and so on, is that something you'd be looking at? Perhaps to say each media house, the minimum wage for a entry journalist should be this or so. Are those some of the things you would be looking at?
Definitely we will look at those things once we are at that place. But even in the meantime, you know, there are avenues that we can explore just to do the research, just to get the basic information together and out into the open, so that it doesn't have to wait for us. Once we arrive, things will speed up. But we are already doing the groundwork, you know, and we've already had opportunity to meet with top management from different media houses. The first who was willing to meet with us was New Era. We went to see them. You know, they have become such a progressive institution, even though they are linked to government. It just goes to show that just because you are SOE doesn't mean you have to be stuck doing things like things were done back in the day. That's an example of somebody who's progressing. And maybe, you know, those organizations will be more accommodating than private sector organizations who are so focused on the bottom line and the profit that they can make today, that they might not be looking at what's going to sustain them tomorrow, what's going to keep them competitive in 10 years' time. There are such organizations, there are even fly-by-nights out there who abuse media practitioners. And once we are in a position to really address those, we will take stringent and more aggressive steps. But for now, you know, we are still doing groundwork. We are doing what we can while we are growing. So, but definitely, when the time comes, we will be a serious contender in those spheres.
Mr. Graig, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
All the best for your workshop this weekend and your subsequent activities after that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here, and I wish you all a great week ahead.
Thank you.